Hey, what's up everyone? This is the Edward Joyner YouTube channel. My name is Drew. I am the founder and creator of the brand. And in this video, I'm going to share with you guys 5 books that I read before starting my business. Let's get into it. Books are an amazing way to acquire a new knowledge or skill set. Like I said, I'm going to list out 5 impactful books that I read before starting Edward Joyner. I hope you guys gained some value from this video, and that's the whole point of these videos, to give you guys real value. All right, let's jump right into number 1. The first book on this list is The Courage to Be Disliked. The Courage to Be Disliked is one of my all-time favorite books. I highly recommend it. Basically, the premise of the book is there's this young man who is a little bit depressed. He's a little bit down on life. He doesn't know where his life is going. And in his village, it's a Japanese themed book, so literally it's based in kind of a Japanese kind of setting. And so the young man is depressed, and he goes, and there's a philosopher in his kind of town or village, and he goes to the philosopher to try to learn about how the philosopher has basically acquired peace, or how he's so happy and blissful with his life, right? And the philosopher basically gives him different strategies and different ways to look at things. So it's basically a book about mindset, and how you can tweak your mindset, and how you can really tap into changing your perspective to inevitably get a different result with the reality that you're living, right? The Courage to Be Disliked. It's a great book. One of the book's biggest lessons that I learned, one of the biggest lessons I learned from the book rather, is this idea of competition, right? Like, I played basketball all my life, and basketball is such a direct competition sport. But what I learned from reading this book is that, you're not really in competition with anyone. The only competition you have is between you and you, right? And why that's so important is like you stop judging others, and you stop comparing yourself to others when you understand that you're on your own personal journey. And that, for me, for Edward Joyner, was something really important that I had to mentally get over in order to just start. Because there's so many businesses out there, so many brands, so many companies. And if I compare myself to all these other creatives, whether they are the same age as me, younger or older, it's just overwhelming, right? So one of the biggest things I learned from this book, and one of the biggest steps I had to take, was have the courage to not, be afraid to start and not compare myself to other people. This book also taught me about self-awareness and how important it is to be aware of, who you are as an individual, what your skill sets are, understanding that, that you shouldn't judge other people for where they're at ever, under no circumstances, because judgment is just another example of a personal insecurity. And so I really found a lot of value in The Courage to Be Disliked. It was really, like I said, one of the best books I read, and I recommend you guys check it out. It's a really good read. To number 2 we go. The second book on this list is Detours, or Thomas Evans' Be the Artist. This is a great book about how to bring your artistic career, how to start your artistic career and then make it a professional career. It has tips on trademarking or copywriting, trademarking, all the legal things. Has tips on how to get into art shows and those kind of things. Also has really valuable information when it comes to just starting an art practice, being consistent, finding time, work ethic, things of those nature for different creatives. So Detour is an awesome local artist that I look up to a lot. He's a black artist who's really cool, who does really amazing stuff. And hopefully I get to meet him one day, honestly, because he is such a really cool guy. But number 2 on the list is Be the Artist, one of the premier books, in my opinion, when it comes to starting a professional art career. Let's move on to number 3. So the third book on this list is probably my favorite book of all time. It's a book that I read so often. It is James Allen's A Man Thinketh. And this book isn't per se about business or fashion, but it's more so about mindset and how your mindset should be towards the world. One of my favorite lines in this book is this: "The human mind may be likened to a garden, which may be intelligently cultivated or allowed to run wild, but either cultivated or neglected, it must and will bring forth." I just love how the tone of this book, it's written in the 1800s. That line in particular I love so much, because it talks about how, whether you are giving positive feedback to your mind or not, whether you're doing it or not, your mind is going to bring forth a result, or it's going to bring forth, you know, habits, or it's going to bring forth speech. It's going to become your like character. I don't know. There's an old aphorism that's like, you know, habits or words become actions, actions become habits, habits become character, character becomes the way you live your life. And I think that line speaks to that a little bit, where, you know, every day, like, there are going to be negative things that are going to be attacking us, right? Whether it be someone disagrees with you about something, someone is kind of trolling you, whether it be someone just doesn't like you, right? And they might say something negative to you. And if you take that negativity and if you know, make that your self-esteem, if you make your image of yourself someone else's opinion, then your brain or your mind is kind of likened to a garden. It's cultivating those negative aspects. But if you tell yourself that you are powerful, you're beautiful, that you can accomplish what you want to accomplish, and you believe those kind of things, you act differently, you walk differently, you do things and you move differently. And that's kind of the premise of this book, right? It's a book about how to, you know, cultivate different mentalities in your life, and those mentalities will then in turn turn into, you know, habits that you live your life with, right? And it's really hard because I think there's so much negativity in the world, especially right now, and there's so many things happening. But I think a book like this really can change your perspective on, you know, how you should think about the world and how different things can fold out for you if you change the way you think about them. So that's, yeah. So yeah, literally one of my favorite books of all time. I've probably read this book 5 times. In business, for business, if you're not in business, if you're just looking for a book to kind of change the way you think about things potentially, I recommend As a Man Thinketh by James Allen. That is number 3. Let's move on to number 4. The 4th book on this list is a book by a Navy SEAL. Probably a lot of you have heard of him. It is David Goggins' Cant Hurt Me. And this book, man, I mean, and if you don't know David Goggins' story, then I highly recommend, after you're done, you know, watching this video, to go check out, just type in David Goggins, and you know, he's a kind of a guy who speaks a lot about his journey. He's a Navy SEAL. He grew up in abusive households, grew up in a little town and had a lot of issues, and was overweight. He lost like 100 pounds in 3 months and did all these crazy things, you know, ultra runner and things of that nature. I read this book and I love this book, and I recommend this book if you're gonna start anything in life, or if you want to do anything in life, because it just is a reminder of, you know, how, you know, limitless human potential is, right? I think a lot of times we are discouraged by what we think we can't do. We're discouraged by our own like limitations in our mind, right? And so this book just opens a door for me mentally to say, you know, I can do this. If I put the work into it, I can do this. And David Goggins is just a great example of, you know, putting the work in and reaping the reward. Whatever he puts his mind towards, I believe that, you know, he can do it, and whatever I put my mind towards, I can do it. And that's something I really learned from this book. So number 4 on this list is David Goggins' Cant Hurt Me. Read this book if you're about to start a, you know, whatever you're about to start, read this book. The last and 5th book on this list is Bobby Hundred's This Is Not a T-Shirt. Bobby Hundred's This Is Not a T-Shirt is a book about one of the co-founders or co-creators of The Hundreds. And The Hundreds is basically a streetwear fashion brand that, you know, started, I think it was in the early 2000s, or it could have been late 90s, but I think it was early 2000s if I'm correct. It's been a couple months since I read the book. But the book is really valuable, and the reason why I suggest it is because it's another book that really propelled me to just start, right? Bobby Hundreds was a law student, and he realized he loved drawing and creating more than he liked being a lawyer. And so, you know, what he did is he just, you know, gambled on himself, and he started to create the Hundreds with Ben Hundreds, or not Ben Hundreds, but with his partner Ben, and you know, they, you know, have built this streetwear, this fashion brand based off of graphic designs, graphic tees, and, you you know, what they enjoyed as a kid, and it's blossomed into something really beautiful. It's just inspiring. Obviously, there's a lot of things that play into how they were successful, and I've implemented a lot of those like little things into Edward Joyner. And yeah, I mean, it's just a great book for anyone who's curious about, you know, how fashion brands are built, or how, you know, the brands that I enjoy are built, these kind of streetwear brands. But yeah, This Is Not a T-shirt is the 5th recommendation, and yeah, check it out. Go get this one. So I hope you guys gained some value from that list, man. I mean, like I said, those are the 5 books I read before starting Edward Joyner, and the 5 kind of most impactful books. One of the goals I have for 2020 is to read 20 books for the year. So if you have more book recommendations, whether they are, you know, skill set books, how to do X, Y, and Z better, how to, you know, sew, or other things that, you know, creatives can do, I would love to hear your guys' suggestion down in the comments. If you have other books that, you know, that you enjoyed reading and that you know will bring value to others, be sure to leave those down in the comment section, man. I mean, the idea of this YouTube channel is to build a community and to build each other up. I am just a person who wants to feed, I guess, positive energy to others. And so, you know, I appreciate all those who've supported so far. If you enjoyed this video, like I said, like and subscribe. We'll have much more videos, vlogs, and behind the scenes and things like that. But I just wanted to give you guys my perspective on books that really impacted me, and hopefully they can impact you. So, but we'll see you guys in the next video. Have a wonderful rest of your day. Love.